Tragic Life of V, a Cyberpunk 2077 story. There aren't as many characters as possible out there in video games which we can consider truly memorable. Sure, there are characters that you can connect with because you see their story unfold, such as Joel and Ellie from The Last of Us. But with Cyberpunk 2077, you become V. A lot of the time, RPG games have main characters that are simply a baseline for you to do whatever you want in the game. But V is fully fleshed out, with different origin stories which you even get to play through. V is essentially a reflection of yourself and a person of their own. The way you want your character to become, you can make it happen. So I think it's appropriate that I tell you about the tragic life of this cyberpunk. No matter what life path you choose for your character at the start of the game, V starts out as someone who's always truly struggling in life. The Nomad. The Nomad life path shows your V as someone who had lived their whole life in a remote area, away from the commonalities of society. Nomads are essentially kind of like hippies. They have their own mobile communities of nomads, and they call the entirety of the wasteland their home. If you go with the Nomad life path, it shows V seeking a new goal after leaving their nomad clan. In a little town in the middle of nowhere is the place where Nomad V begin their journey. There isn't much of a warm welcome for nomads out there, and for the time being, they're just as much of an outsider as you would expect them to be. V is there on a mission though, so they first have their car mended before going to see Jackie, a client who wants to move some cargo from there, an iguana to be precise. The two of them attempt to cross the border with illegal items, but things quickly get out of hand. After this bizarre introduction, they get together with Jackie in an odd alliance. The remainder of the introduction for each of the three life pathways is essentially the same after this. The Street Kid. V enters a Night City pub at the beginning of the Street Kid path, bruised and eager to drink. The situation is not favorable for V right away. In addition to having a shattered and smashed up nose, V is on their last Eurodollar. V appears to be frozen and not moving forward in life, and that's something truly detrimental in Night City. Fortunately, V is friendly with the bartender, and together they plan to pay off the debt that V's bartender friend owns a fixer named Jenkins. When attempting to pay off your friend's obligations, you run into Jackie Wells, another street kid who is struggling. Of course, things don't go well when you first meet, which leads to problems with the job. Unfortunately, you both get caught, and then you both get beaten up again. As Jackie points out though, it's nothing that a drink and some food can't remedy. This is the life in Night City. The game will continue with the same story beats after this introduction. The Corpo. When V chooses the corporate path, she is instantly thrust into a familiar scenario of trying to relax at work while using the restroom. It's reasonable to expect stress-induced vomiting on a Monday evening when you're a cog in the corporate machine, and V's life of crunching numbers and following orders seems to be enough for that. At work, tension is at an all-time high, and V's employers have given them the go-ahead to take a risk. Their dependable buddy Jackie Wells is the only one who can assist V. However, things don't pan out as expected, and V's prosperous and organized existence vanishes in an instant. With the aid of their best friend, it is time to help V climb back up. The game remains largely the same when you reconnect with Jackie as previously stated. The Arazaka heist. V stayed with Jackie for 6 months, working together on mercenary assignments to improve their street cred, slowly climbing the ranks and becoming popular cyberpunks amidst the competition. V eventually saved enough cash to get their own apartment in Mega Building H10. After finishing a task for Wakako Okada in the final week of April 2077, another fixer called Dexter Deshawn got in touch with V and Jackie. Dexter Deshawn was a man of words. He almost completely manages to manipulate you into doing the work he wanted, despite V being quite aware that there was something going on under the surface of this whole charade. V and a netrunner T-Bug were tasked with breaking into Konpeki Plaza and robbing Yorinobu Arasaka of a relic for Evelyn Parker. V got ready for the theft by meeting with Parker to find the tool and snatching a flathead from the Maelstrom gang to help them. The heist was afoot. It was carried out by V and the team when the Afterlife's preparation phase was complete. Jackie and V entered Konpeki Plaza disguised as arms dealers, and then the relic was successfully taken from Yorinobu's suite. They were forced to hide though, as Yorinobu went back to his apartment to have a meeting with his father, the Emperor, Saburo Arasaka. The meeting did not go as planned, as Saburo triggered Yorinobu's most basic instinct, which led to the son killing the father. After breaking the entrance security, T-Bug was immediately located and killed remotely by Arasaka's netrunners due to heightened protection in the building. In an attempt to flee, V and Jackie moved in the direction of a ladder outside, but an Arasaka drone discovers them as they're shimmying along. It begins firing at them. To protect themselves, they riskily jump off the balcony and plunge through a glass roof, critically injuring Jackie and lowering the relic's integrity. Jackie inserted the shard into his neurointerface in order to prevent additional harm to the relic. After being pursued by Arasaka drones, Jackie and V managed to escape aboard the Delamain taxi. However, Jackie succumbed to his serious injuries and passed away while the two were on their way to the Notel Motel to meet Dexter Deshawn and close the deal. Jackie put up one final effort and secured the relic into V before he passed away, a loss that will haunt V for the rest of their life. Things didn't go as planned. Dexter Deshawn got paranoid and he ended up shooting V in the head at the rendezvous spot inside the Notel Motel. He then dumped V's body in a landfill to hide his tracks. He didn't want to be known as an accomplice to the heist at all. He missed one thing though, that the relic was still in V's neuro interface, and when they got shot, it changed V's world completely. Johnny Silverhand, the mind killer. V was successfully brought back to life by the relic, and they made an attempt to escape the trash. They were discovered by Goro Takamura, Saburo's former bodyguard, and taken back to Night City to their very own Ripper Doc friend, Victor Vector. While recuperating there, V discovered that the relic was robbing them of their consciousness and replacing it with an engram of Johnny Silverhand, a rocker from the year 2019, and that they were going to die as soon as Johnny Silverhand would completely take over their body. This is a shocking revelation. V had just found out that someone else would be going to take over their body and they won't be able to do a thing. Misty returns V to their flat so they can rest, and she hands them two different kinds of pills. One particular kind would get rid of Silverhand's engram for a short period, while the other would speed up the process and end their suffering speedily. Later that evening, the Johnny Silverhand engram appears before V's eyes, attacking them and yelling at them. Johnny's bound to kill V and take over their body, and that's something V won't agree to that easily. V manages to take the medicines Misty's offered them, despite some difficulty and struggle, and the engram vanishes. Over time, however, V and Johnny Silverhand's engram manage to build a relationship of their own, helping each other out and perhaps adding a tinge of happiness into each other's time together. The bat lands in Pacifica, chasing every lead. While Goro urged V to help testify to Hanako, Saburo's heir, and reveal Yorinobu's actions to the Arasaka board during their meeting, V also made the decision to look into Evelyn and Anders Hellman, the relic's designer, who might be able to extract it from within V's skull. V first discovered that Anders Hellman was seeking to defect to Kang Tao after speaking with Rogue Minder Ares. So they sneak up on his truck along with Panem Palmer and the Autocados and captured him. This is one of the few moments where we see V at their most downtrodden. It was at this point in the story where V discovers that the relic was firmly affixed to their brain's network, rendering the process of pulling out the relic completely irreversible. V then focused their efforts elsewhere. They identified Evelyn with the aid of Judy Alvarez and discovered that she had been initially employed to steal the relic by a gang out of Pacifica known as the Voodoo Boys, albeit solely for Silverhand's engram. They met Placide and made plans for him to assist them in getting across the Black Wall so they could get in touch with Alt Cunningham, a renowned netrunner and Johnny's old fiancé who would give them information on something called Soul Killer. After V helps out the Voodoo Boys, Alt informs V that Soul Killer is a particular tech that they could only use to extract the engram and then rebuild it using their mind, but that was only possible with Arasaka's Mikoshi system. Tech that they could use to extract the engram and then rebuild it using their mind. but that was only possible within Arasaka's Mikoshi system. Hanako Arasaka, the sister. Sandayu Oda, Hanako's bodyguard, and Takamura, along with V, who was disgruntled at this point and almost hopeless that he would be able to survive at all, gathered to discuss Yorinobu's treachery. They eventually resolved to get in touch with Hanako during Yorinobu's memorial parade and started preparing when Oda refused to believe them. They decide to sneak up and find Hanako somehow, a desperate attempt by Goro to reach out to her. However, Oda steps in their way, and V has to unfortunately fight Oda and take him out. Goro was compelled to kidnap Hanako. He then arranged for V to meet with her. They were assaulted by Adam Smasher, who was leading an armed squad of Arasaka forces after they informed her of everything that they had seen. V was also able to flee the ambush. Hanako got in touch with V soon after and scheduled a meeting at Embers. They discovered that Mikoshi was hidden beneath Arasaka Tower during it. The relic started acting up in the middle of the meeting, causing V to adjourn early. Silverhand takes control of V's body and brings him to Vic's clinic, where it has officially told that the relic's process was almost finished, and Silverhand would soon take over V's body permanently. Trouble at Arasaka Tower, the end. This is one part of Cyberpunk 2077 where I can't say anything with certainty. Players would have their own iteration of V, and the choices that they make through V's tragic story will lead to different consequences at the end. What I can say to talk about is the most appropriate ending for this story, an ending that I would consider canon. So let's talk in depth about what happens next. V had two options at this point. Either go with Hanako and choose to take the option of treatment in return for ousting Yorinobu, or let Johnny take over, where he could simply break into Arasaka Tower and do it the good old-fashioned way. After giving up control of their body to Johnny, as a final gesture of showing full support to the ghost in their head, V let Johnny do whatever he wanted. So, naturally, Johnny formed a strike squad with Rogue and Minderers, and Crispin Wayland. At one point, they are attacked by Adam Smasher once again. The relentless cyborg attacked them and eventually managed to injure Rogue. This was quite the heartbreak for Johnny, as he saw not one, but two of the most beloved people in his life in pain. She died there in Arasaka Tower with Johnny's Silverhand, and that's something she was proud of. Johnny then fought his way down to Mikoshi, where he could finally free Alt and give V some much needed help. When V and Johnny arrived at the net, they saw Alt present there. Alt informed them that even though they had finally been split up, the biochip had altered too much of V's brain, and if they went back, they would just die after 6 months. V had nothing left anymore, and at this point, Alt suggested Johnny to go back instead because V's body wouldn't reject Johnny's psyche. He could simply take over and live forever, whereas if V took over again, they would die in just 6 months. At the end, Johnny decided that he wouldn't rob V of their body. Alt was followed by Johnny beyond the Black Wall to live their lives as Ingrins deep-rooted within the net. Epilogue, a blaze of glory. In the time after that, V rose to fame in Night City. V made the choice to make the most of their limited time that they had. They ended up helping people like Mama Wells and growing their relationship with Panem and Judy Alvarez. At times, though, thoughts of Jackie still haunted V, missing their companion who had passed away. Now that they'd also lost Johnny, V barely had anyone left. There were only 2 months left to live, so V planned a heist in the Crystal Palace, a casino which is located in the Earth's orbit. This is a person